The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Earnestly Speaking podcast coming to you June 6th, 2023. It is Tuesday, it is cloudy, and I'm stuck in the house until this rain goes away. It has been a depressing start to the summer for my kids because I haven't been able to go. I mean, look, I've done a couple things here and there, and, a couple playgrounds here, a couple of activities here, but it has, and we do need rain here in South Florida, I'm not going to lie to you. And I know it's June, we're closing on an actual summertime. We do get rains and thunderstorms, all that, and I'm used to that. That is the norm here in South Florida. However, it has rained every single fucking day since the school ended, pretty much. And I was hoping to take them to the playground, record a podcast early, and then to the playground. So right now I'm on the holding pattern. Hopefully, by the time I'm done this recording, that we'll be able to go to the playground and they can burn some energy out, because I don't want to keep them in the house all summer long, man. They got to get out some energy. They got to go out, play soccer, play some football, go to the playground, swing some things, that kind of thing. So that's hopefully after I'm done with this recording, we can actually get to that. But we got to get to this podcast today. As you know, we come here at least every Tuesday and Thursday if possible. I'm not a big fan of podcast schedules necessarily, but I typically, those are the days I typically do record. I think through the fall, especially too, I think you'll see more of a consistent schedule because football allows that. But we got a lot to get to today, like I said. Of course, NBA Finals, title one apiece. I'm diving more into the Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharpe impending breakup, which is supposed to happen after the NBA Finals. Got a take on Stephen A. Smith and whether or not he's actually dangerous, because there was something written on Deadspin that I want to address on the show. And I take some of my friends on a podcast that I'm very, very fond of to task. They called me out recently on that podcast. Now, granted, I was there actually, not on the show, but as a watching, and my boys at the 3 Count Thursday 3CT podcast, who I'm very, very fond of, but I got things to say, and we'll talk about that on the show. And then I have an announcement to make on some new projects that I'm working on, and not even some projects, it's something bigger than that. But let's do first. Of course, I'm on Twitter at EJ Christian 7. You can find me on there as well too. And of course, the YouTube page, guys. Please, if you are subscribed to my work, I do appreciate you guys continue to follow and and spread the love here. Share, subscribe, but especially on YouTube, guys. YouTube.com / at Earnest Christian. That's where we get all my work, all my podcasts, all the clips of the shows. I'm going to be working some other things in the future on the platform and video stuff once we get some other things updated here and time evens out. But let's get to this first. Also, the NBA Finals. NBA Finals title one apiece. Game 3 is tomorrow night in Miami, down at the Kaseya Center. I'm still getting used to this. I don't want to get used to that shit because they keep changing these damn names every couple of years. Obviously, we know why FTX no longer FTX, because of the situation with the founder of FTX about to go to jail, was in jail, whatever the hell it may be. All the fraud going on there, and Bitcoin, all that bullshit, whatever. I don't care. It's still American Airlines to me. First off, this series still one apiece. If y'all thought this was gonna be a sweep, you know nothing coming. And look, Game 2 is why I said. Game 2 is specifically why I said I am no longer giving a pick for this show, for this series. I know what I said before the series started. I know what I said during the Boston series when I said no matter what happens, Boston, Miami, who wins? Boston's gonna Denver wins in 6 over Boston, wins in 5 over Miami. No matter who wins the series. But after what Miami did in the last series, I backed off. I'm not doing it. Now look, is Denver a better team in my opinion? Absolutely. They've been a better team all year long. They got Nikola Jokic, who in my opinion is the best player in the league. He is. And they're deep. You got Jamal Murray, who's now a top 20, 25 guy in the league now. When we do our list later in the year, or later this calendar year, should I say, he's going to be in that top 25 list. Without question. Where you put him, I don't know yet. You got Michael Porter Jr. You got Aaron Gordon, KCP, Bruce Brown. They are deep. But Miami has grit. Miami has heart. And to say Miami doesn't have great players, they do have Jimmy Butler, who's a top 10 player in the league. Bam Adebayo, top 20 player in the league. Top 25 player in the league. And when he's comfortable, he's definitely dangerous. You got shooters. You got the best damn coach in basketball, Eric Spoelstra. So the fact that this is 1-1 shouldn't be totally surprising. And that's what I said coming to the series. And it's played out so far. Unlike the series against Milwaukee, New York, and Boston, Miami will get opportunities to score because Denver, as great as they are not a very good defensive team. They're not. Okay, they don't lock in the same way those three teams did, which is why Bam has been comfortable in the series. He's been the MVP for this team so far in this series. As great as Jokic is, he's not a great defender. He's not. And that's okay. He's just not. You know, part of the reason why Jimmy Butler and Caleb Martin have been relegated to being limited to what in terms of effectiveness here in the series is because the fact that where they're actually decent defensively is on the wings. Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon are good defenders. Ask KD, ask LeBron the last couple series. They'll tell you. So which is why Butler and Martin have been kind of limited. But as I said, Miami will get opportunities in this series. They got to make shots. And they did that in game 2. Game 1 when they lost by 11 points. They had a horrible shooting day. Max Strus, 0 for 8 for 3 that series. If Strus makes even 2 3-pointers in that series, in that game 1, that's a 5-point game. And who knows where that game goes. Max Strus had 4 3-pointers in the first quarter of the game 2. Miami shot nearly 50% from 3 in game 2. Now, people are going to say, well, is this sustainable? Could they really hit 15, 16 3-pointers in the game in the series? Honestly, they could. Because they're going to get looks. And this is the only shot they have in the series, really, is to hit those shots. That is the only way you can offset Jokic and those guys. Always offset them. Because Jokic is a bad man. Or Jokic is great. You ain't going to stop him. And that's another thing, too. And credit Eric Spoelstra for making an adjustment here in game 2. Making him virtually one-dimensional. You know, because one thing about Jokic, as great a scorer as he is, and he's obviously a really good rebounder as well, too, his playmaking, his facilitating, especially, too, is elite. So what Spoelstra and the Heat did in game 2 was they allowed him to get his, and they stayed home with the shooters. They nullified Jokic's playmaking ability, not as a scorer but as a passer, which is why Jamal Murray had a subpar game in comparison to game 1. Which is why Michael Porter Jr. had a horrible game in game 2. They stayed home. They allowed Jokic to you know, look, they're not going to allow him to beat him. They'll give it the 2 and not allow Jokic to you know, not only score but also become a facilitator in that way. They basically made him one-dimensional, and that's the way. And that's really the way to beat him. And even then, they almost lost the game. Even then, Miami almost blew that game late. And Eric Spoelstra was very annoyed by Ramona Shelburne on ESPN when asking about you know, Jokic being one-dimensional. Here's what he said.
Probably oversimplifying things, but sometimes when teams play against Jokic, you turn him into a scorer, you turn him into a passer, and he controls the game. He only had 4 assists tonight.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. You know, it's just, that's the untrained eye that says something like that. This guy's an incredible player. You know, twice in 2 seasons he's been the best player on this planet. You can't just say, oh, make him a scorer.
I mean, to be honest with you, that wasn't a bad question necessarily. I get why he's annoyed, but you know, but Spo has the utmost respect for his opponents. Wasn't a bad question. Maybe the way she phrased it, maybe the way Ramona phrased it, and Ramona's good at her job for the record. You know, been following her for years on, you know, on the NBA beat, you know, covering the Lakers and all that stuff. So she knows what she's talking about. She knows her game. You know, I'm not going to disrespect her there, but you know, Miami made him one-dimensional, and that's why the game played the way it did, and that's the way to beat him. You know, you put a big body on him. This is why those Kevin Love minutes were so crucial, and he had 10 rebounds in that game. That's why even the Cody Zeller minutes, and those minutes are very, very risky because he's not really a great player. He's a statue for the most part, but he does at moments he'll get some boards here and there, but he's not a great player. So they are risky, but they did the job. They were able to limit Jokic. And it's funny, I'm saying limit Jokic when in fact he still had 42 points in that game, or 41 points in that game. Fun stat, though. Fun stat here for the series. The Nuggets are 0-3 when Jokic scores 40-plus in the playoffs. 0-3 in the playoffs when Jokic scores 40-plus. Something to think about going forward. So the game plan's out there. Now can Miami stick to it? We'll see. Could hit open shots? We'll see. Tyler Hero may not play game 3, but you saw reports though that's he had a bit of a setback. There's still soreness in his hand. He's day to day. They'll reevaluate him tomorrow for game 3. Excuse me. But it's a series, guys. And look, I'm not getting a prediction. No, I'm not doing it because I'm doubting this Miami team. And it's a precursor to the thing I'll show you guys later on. When I said earlier in the top of the show about my boys 3CT calling me out on some things about not having faith in my team. We'll get there in a second. We'll get there. Other NBA things real quick. Frank Vogel, officially the coach of the Phoenix Suns. I think it's a good move. I think he has a chip in his shoulder the way he was treated in LA, getting fired even though he won a title in LA in the bubble. Yeah, his chip on his shoulder along with KD and Booker. I think Vogel is a fine coach. Phoenix is one of the top favorites in the West. I'm curious to see, number one, how they construct a roster around KD and Booker. And number two, what's next to DeAndre Ayton? Because we know DeAndre Ayton, when engaged, is a very good player. But he's also overpaid. But my question is this, though. Because Ayton had issues with Monty Williams, the last coach. Okay? Can Frank Vogel lure him in? If you are to believe that Ayton stays and can trade Ayton out of there this summer, can Frank Vogel make that work and have that big 3 work? I think if you can make that work with Ayton and you can reevaluate him and you can get him engaged and get him to buy into this staff now, you keep him. Otherwise, if you get some assets, you can never trade him away. But I think I'm curious to see where Phoenix goes with this as well too. That's one thing. Another report we saw is that Kyrie Irving is reportedly trying to lure LeBron to Dallas and take, and to get out of Dallas and do a big 3 of him, Luka, and Kyrie. That ain't gonna happen. In fact, this kind of reports now coming out in the last 12 hours that LA has no. Number one, LA is probably Kyrie won't take a pay cut to come to LA, and LA has moved on from that, and we'll see how that plays out. Look, if I'm Luke, I'll be pissed off because Kyrie's not even committed to Dallas right now. Although reports saying that he may want to stay in Dallas. The only reason to stay in Dallas probably is for the fact that that's the only team that can pay him max dollars. But newsflash to Kyrie Irving, that's Luka's team, not your team. That's Luka's team. And even if LeBron came there, it's still Luka's team. Just saying. LeBron has 1 more year in his contract worth $47 million. And he has a player option for every season after that. At $50+ million. For this to work, actually, hypothetically supposed to work, LeBron and Kyrie have to take a massive pay cut to make it work from the salary cap standpoint. Ain't happening, dude. Ain't happening. Get out of your system, get out of your mind. Kyrie, it's funny with Kyrie. He's a fantastic talent. He complains last week about people reporting on things, and yet you hear this stuff come out. Now, someone said actually, and it could be true, that LeBron's camp may have put this out, actually, this report out about Kyrie wanting to do this. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, ain't happening. We'll talk more about this with someone in the weeks to come in terms of the because again, finals right now, and this is the difference between NBA and NFL. NBA draft is literally a week after, or 2 weeks after the NBA finals are over, and then literally days after that, you have the free agency. And this free agency, if you heard the conversation I had with Danny Thompson on the podcast last week, Danny Thompson was on the pod last week, we discussed this on the show. He thinks this summer is going to be one of the most active summers that we see in modern times, because he thinks this new CBA with the second apron, coming up in a couple of years, teams are going to be forced to make moves to shed salaries. He believes that this summer could be very active with major players being moved and moving contracts. This is that episode from last week. It was last week Wednesday we recorded that one. And I kind of sort of agree with him, actually, to be honest with you. And I think, we'll see how that plays out, obviously. And that apron is going to change a lot of things. Anyway, let's talk about something else here. Stephen A. Smith. Steve Smith, you guys know I love the guy. I know people have their feelings about Stephen A. Smith. And, he's kind of polarizing in some degree. I don't find him very polarizing. I find him he's a bit of a character, but it is what it is. Stephen A. Smith I think he's great, personally. I think he's great. However, I ran into an article on Deadspin last night, written by Karan J. Phillips. He's a good writer, by the way. I followed some of his work for 3 years. But on this article, I disagree with him 100%. And he's calling him dangerous because, according to him, because on Stephen A's podcast, which is now called Stephen A. Smith Show, it used to be called No Mercy, now it's called Stephen A. Smith Show, which is smart. He has had some right-wing commentators on the show, Sean Hannity and Mark Levin, and to boot, and I think even Will Kane's on the show one time, I believe, or maybe he's on Will Kane's show. I don't know. But Stephen A. Smith, he's not a left winger, but he has liberal leanings. He says he's a capitalist and all this stuff. He's a moderate, kind of like me in a sense. But Karan J. Phillips has said that he thinks he's dangerous because he's platformed, number one, platformed right-leaning commentators on the show, and number two, on his recent episode last week, he said that basically that Joe Biden should resign, or Joe Biden, basically should resign because he's too old, 80 years old. Here's a quote from the article that spoke out to me really from that Deadspin article from Karan J. Phillips. He goes, quote, "Over the last 2 years, Smith has dabbed more and more into politics, which is his right. Damn right it is. But the thing about politics is your beliefs reveal so much about who you really are. And so far, the revelation feels like Smith wants nothing more than to be a rich white man and all the privileges that come with it." Now, that's race. To me, that's race baiting there. Like, I'm okay with your opinion, but why can't it be a rich man? Why has to be a rich white man? There are rich black men out there too, right? So to me, and this is kind of like the whole thing with Deadspin, because Deadspin is kind of like Outkick in a sense, but they're the left-wing version of Outkick. Like, Outkick is a very far-right, publication and all that, and whether or not they acknowledge that, that's what they are. Deadspin is that to the left. And they also live in a little bubble as well. Okay? So, for him to say that, he's reaching there. He's trying to make the conversation, embellish the conversation more than it needs to be. If you disagree with Stephen A. Smith, that's fine. No one is arguing with that about the fact that you disagree with him or not. Whatever. It is what it is. But to sit here and say that, excuse me, that, because we a rich white man. Hello, I'm a black man, and I have voted Democrat pretty much in every election for the last 16 years. Okay? But I'm also a capitalist. I also have a lot of, I believe in things moderately for the most part. I'm a moderate. I don't give a damn. If you don't like it, too fucking bad. Too fucking bad. This is who I am. This is who he is. Okay? And I actually retweeted him, quote tweeted him, and told him, basically, read the article, enjoyed it. I didn't say enjoyed it. Read the article, completely disagree with you. And then he replies to me. He replies to me and says, okay. He replies to me with the beam. It goes, okay, and then the shrug on the shoulder beam emoji on as well too. Look, we agree to disagree on that one. Here's the thing. The fact of the matter is that we live in a society that there are people who disagree with us. We won't agree with them no matter how you slice it. Politically, spiritually, it is what it is. I've always said that I find it more dangerous to live in a silo than anything else. You have to have conversations with people with different thoughts. It's okay to open. Look, this podcast, and you guys already know this, and I've had right-wing people on a show that I disagree with. Okay? And I'd like to have more to have discussions. It's healthy. For Stephen A. Smith to do that, first of all, I don't like Sean Hannity. But I understand why he had him on the show. Mark Levin, same thing too. I understand why he had him on the show. I don't find it dangerous at all. And you may agree, disagree, but it's fine. I think people make this stuff much harder than it needs to be. And I don't have a problem with Stephen A. when he did there. I really don't. In fact, those episodes I heard he did with Hannity and Levin, I actually enjoyed those episodes. Because even though I still disagree with them in the end, I need to know the perspective of where they're coming from. And I'm not going to know that staying in a silo. Sorry, I'm not. I disagree with him. I don't think it's dangerous at all. I think you can find people who I believe are grifters and all that stuff. Like, there are guys that are dangerous, obviously dangerous on there. I don't think Clay Travis is dangerous necessarily. I think Clay Travis is a grifter. You know, people like Clay Travis is a grifter. I think people like him. I think Ben Shapiro, some degree, is a grifter. Though he has his belief. No, I take it back. Ben Shapiro actually is a conservative. But I think he embellishes on the crap too also because he's also a commentator who needs to make money. You know, I don't think Clay Travis is a real conservative, honestly. This is a guy with a Democratic political background. I disagree with Karan's overall view, and I'm someone who doesn't even have those political views. But I do think it's still healthy to have those conversations. You never let go. This is the thing I always bag on the left for many years. Left-wing people don't want to have right-wings on their platforms and stuff. Why? Makes no sense. The only way you're going to figure things out, the only way you're going to work things out. Look, we have to share this world anyway. You might as well have the conversations now. Okay? It doesn't make sense to feel, well, let's have a divorce. Let's go to, you're the same people bitching about Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I think is a nut job, talking about having a divorce. But your actions are similar to what she's saying as well, too. Your actions are similar to what she's saying, too, also. By not having the conversations with people you disagree with. And to me, it's far worse. So, I disagree with him on that, But check out the articles on Deadspin. Deadspin is a left-leaning, I would say left-leaning publication. A little over-the-top, embellished. But I do like some of the writers, though. I mean, look, I'm all for free speech at the end of the day. I always say, too, also, if you're racist, I want to see the open. I like my racism in the open. I want to see who you are. Because that's why I like people talking. Because it's then where it's authentic. And if they are racist and if they are bad people, you can see for yourself. You can see for yourself. And it's out there. And it can embarrass and it hurts them anyway. Just saying. All right, some more sports media talk. We discussed it last week on the same episode last week. I did with Danny Thompson on the show. We touched on it a little bit about Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe, Undisputed on FS1. Shannon Sharpe will be leaving the show after the NBA Finals concludes. Obviously, a lot of opinions on that. Shannon Sharpe reached a buyout with Fox Sports. That him and Skip will be ending the partnership after the finals. Sharpe's also his podcast, a very popular podcast I enjoy very much, Club Shay Shay, will also be leaving Fox Sports. Danny Thompson on the show actually said that he believes he'll see him on Amazon. Maybe so. I don't know. There's been no speculation about where he's going yet. I know I saw Stephen A. Smith say something about him having on his show on First Take for a couple days a week. Don't know if that worked out. I think Shannon Sharpe is big to the point now where he can have his own show. He doesn't need to be sharing. Personally, I don't think Shannon Sharpe needs to be on the show with anybody else. He's big enough a name now to do his own thing. He's to me. This is what I think also with Shannon Sharpe. I think he's surpassed Skip now at this point. I think when Shannon started the show back in 2015, 2016, I think Skip was obviously the bigger name. Shannon Sharpe is now caught up, and I would say he's more credible as a commentator in this space than Skip Bayless is. And it's sad because Skip Bayless, once upon a time, and people don't know this, people maybe forgotten this or don't know this anymore, because Skip Bayless has turned to a character to himself. Skip Bayless was a very good journalist a long time ago. Skip Bayless was a very good journalist. And even before First Take turned to a little bit of a clown show, Skip was actually palatable for a long time. Those early shows, those early cold pizza shows with Jay Crawford and some other people he had on there, and I would say even the early First Take shows were palatable, were really good shows. And Skip, to his credit, he had really strong takes on things, but it was still palatable. It was still something that, okay, cool, but Skip lost me years ago doubling down on takes when things change. He refused to pivot on those LeBron takes. He refused to pivot on the Dallas Cowboys thing. He refused to pivot on the Brady stuff. He refuses to pivot. He finds someone or some people or some team he doesn't like, and no matter what happens, he doesn't change his position on it. And to me, it's silly. And this is why I like Nick Wright, for example. Nick Wright, it's kind of the same thing as Skip Bayless in terms of the takes, but Nick Wright, at least, his takes are palatable. They're a little more realistic. And if information changes, he'll pivot based on that. As Stephen A says all the time, this is fluid, because information changes. So LeBron isn't this until this, but LeBron starts winning rings, you naturally have to change your position on that. He hasn't done that yet. Or has to continue not to do that. So Skip Bayless, sad. It's a sad stake. I don't know. I think Skip Bayless' Q rating is pretty much in the shitter. No one likes him. I stopped watching him years ago. I rarely watched Undisputed. And the only reason I even tuned in to Undisputed in recent years was because of Shannon. Because Shannon's very entertaining. You know? So that's why I still tune in to Undisputed, because of Shannon, not because of Skip. We've heard now a couple of names come out last day or so about who could replace Shannon Sharpe. We saw LaShawn McCoy, who was on Speak on Fox, could replace him. That'd be terrible, personally. LaShawn McCoy's not even good at this. LaShawn McCoy is actually, I'll be honest with you, straight up, he's not that good on Speak as it is. So him and Skip will be unbearable to watch. Then I heard today that Nick Wright could be a name that could be thrown in there. Honestly, Nick Wright doesn't need Skip Bayless. Okay? Nick Wright has created a name for his brand for himself, his name for himself. I think Nick Wright going to Skip would actually hurt him more than help him, because Skip's Q rating is not as big as it was 5-6 years ago, or even 10 years ago. I hate to say it, I think Skip is, he's not as relevant. I mean, I know he gets a lot of PR and all this stuff, but the ratings have slipped on Undisputed for years now. Stephen A. Smith's Q rating is much higher than Skip's at this point. First Take is more popular than Undisputed now. So I don't know. I don't know if there is a replacement for a good replacement for Shannon on there, because I think Shannon was the last person that I thought that can actually make that show palatable, and he's, I just think that no, I think Skip go at it alone. Maybe have a bevy of different rotating co-hosts on the show, but I just don't think he's careering so low now. I don't think he can do it, and look, I have no interest in all. I don't listen to Skip Bayless. I don't, because his analysis is not real. He's a smart guy, and I've heard he's a very nice guy too. I heard he's a very, very nice guy, but this character has gotten to the point now. I was like, okay, enough now. Come on, stop. So, whatever. Anyway, all right. I teased earlier in the show. My boys at 3 Count Thursday, 3CT podcast. Jim, Matt, Ryan, Tim, and Mark. Great show. If you love wrestling, I urge you to listen to this podcast. To me, I've been saying for years, they are not one of. They are the best wrestling podcast on the planet. I'm talking about mainstream and independent. And I said it even though I say that as someone who has a wrestling podcast called Take 3 Wrestling that Jim actually is a part of now as well too. And I'll say it again. I don't give a damn what it says. 3CT is the best wrestling podcast on the planet. They've been going for 9 years now. I'm glad not only that to be associated with them, a fan of theirs, but I was associated with them, but also a friend of those guys. Some of those guys have been through on this podcast the last couple of years. Obviously Jim is a regular on the show, but Matt and I he's been on the show a couple times now in the last 2 years. Ryan was just on the show a couple months ago for the first time. I'm actually having Tim on the show, scheduled on the show later this month. But that being said, I got to take him to task a little bit. So last week, Thursday, before Game 1 NBA Finals, they do a show on Thursdays, and they do another show on Tuesdays. Actually, they record both at the same time, but they release on Tuesdays. I happened to be in the chat before while they were on the air before the game started, because they go on air at 8 o'clock and on Facebook Live and YouTube and all that stuff. And the game started at 8:30, so I had a couple minutes to check into what they're doing. And I logged into the show immediately when the show started, and you'll hear this. I have a clip here too, so you'll hear this in the clip. And they saw me in the chat, and my boy Tim, who will be on the show later in the month, called me out on some of my Miami Heat takes because of I'll play the thing here, and let you hear and see what you think about what was said here on the show. Here's a clip of the show.
Appreciate that. If you are following along with us live, give us a like and a share. We'd appreciate that. Get as many people in here as possible. I see Devin's here, Scotty's here. I'm sure Big Mac will be dropping in before too long. Holy hell, EJ's actually here. Don't you have a basketball game to watch, you nerd?
I don't know, because I got a bone to pick with EJ since he's here.
Tim, that's Tim Langan now me now for his bone pick with me about some stuff here. His stuff he has to pick with me here.
You better not take one fucking credit for the fucking Miami Heat doing anything in the playoffs, Mr. Celtics in 6. The tweet lives, you're wrong, shut the F up.
So he's mad because I'm a Heat fan. Hey guys, I've been a dire Heat fan 34 years. 34 years been a Heat fan. And I said Boston 6, and I live with that. And by the way, Timmy's the only one that called me on that. I had friends of mine that called me on that, before the series started. Friends, family, the whole nine. And look, Boston's a better team. Boston, I believe, was a better team. But look, the entire country knew Miami was given a 3% chance to win that series. Okay? So it can't just be me. And I'm sorry, I'm not that fan. Even though I love my team, I'm not that fan that's going to say, okay, even though they're 2-80 for the year, they're a championship team. No, I'm a realist about my teams, though. That's the difference between everybody else. I'm glad to be wrong about it, though. I mean, here's more of the rant.
2 Harshies in the first minute and a half of our show.
How are you going to bet against your own team?
I mean, that doesn't even talk about the fact that he had the Bucks in 5 in round 1.
That's true. That's true. He's been anti-Heat.
On his latest appearance as student of the game, he said that Joel Embiid is not a top 10 player, but Giannis is because of playoff appearances.
Nope, that's false. I was on Kyle Nash's show last week as well, on NBA. I said Joel Embiid's not a top 5 player. Joel Embiid is definitely a top 10 player in the league. Joel Embiid, in fact, was number 6 on my list coming to the year. He's probably going to be number 6, probably still on my list. Maybe 7. We'll see how everything plays out. No, Joel Embiid is a top 10 player in the league, without question. Joel Embiid, in fact, had my MVP vote last year and this year. That's false. Number 2, the Giannis thing. Hold on. There's more than that.
Didn't Joel Embiid and them bounce the...
That was the ding. I had to find the ding. We have a new ding, remember?
Didn't Joel do nothing? Or didn't Giannis do nothing this playoffs?
Who?
As the 1 seed?
Giannis got hurt, Tim. Giannis got hurt in game 1 of that series against Miami. Okay? He missed game 2 and game 3, came back for game 4 and 5, played great in that series, actually, but still lost the series. He had, I think, he had 38-20 in the closeout game. 38 points, 20 rebounds in that game. And who knows if Giannis is available the entire series, that series goes a different way. Who knows? So you can't use that against me, number 1. Giannis is still is arguably best player in basketball this year right now. So no, that's not right.
The Greek Freak,
That's Tony Khan.
Don't you lie, EJ. Don't you lie. He's
Did not say what? Did not say that Giannis is a top 5 player and Joel Embiid was not?
Look, here's the fair thing.
Shh. So, real quick. Again, it wasn't lying. I said Embiid was top 10, not top 5. And I stand by that. Jim.
Wife probably said that because he probably share an account.
That's true. That's probably true.
His wife is probably still pissed about the time he dissed Rihanna's Super Bowl halftime performance.
Man,
I like Rihanna.
Okay. And that chimed in with a halftime show. No, I actually liked Rihanna's halftime show. I didn't. What I said on the podcast back in January, because I did a reaction podcast that night after the Super Bowl, because she loved it. I said that I liked it. I wasn't sure it was top 10. I need to let it sit a couple of years before I do that. I never said it wasn't top 10. I said I want to sit a couple of years to marinate on it. It was a good performance. It wasn't the best one. It wasn't MJ in 93. It wasn't Prince in 2007. It wasn't Paul McCartney in 2005. But it was really good. I enjoyed it, actually. I really enjoyed it.
This halftime?
No, he wouldn't put in his top 10, Ryan.
Are you serious?
Yeah. What a jerk.
But he also didn't even then give his top 10. He stopped after, Prince.
Well, number 1
in his
was
defense,
Aerosmith and NSYNC.
Math is hard. So
Math is hard. Jim, math is hard. I agree. No. I actually have a top 10 list. I did one years ago. I remember on my blog, I think it was in 2013 or maybe 12. I did a top 10 list back then. And obviously it's way before Rihanna last year, this past one. But I did have a top 10 list. Rihanna, I don't know if she's still top 10. I may do one again for next year when we do maybe on a podcast or do it on a blog. on my Substack, whatever it may be. But Rihanna, I enjoyed her halftime show, but to me, is it top 10? I don't know. I don't think so. It's certainly in top 5. It's right now. Certainly in top 5. But, oh no. That being said, love those guys. They're brothers. We agree to disagree on things. We go on I go on their show and vice versa. Jim's shows, I love 3CT, you name it, all that. They're great. They come on this show. Like I said, Matt's on the show many times over. Ryan was on the show 2 months ago. Jim's on the regular on the show, of course, and we're going to have Tim on the show very soon. Hopefully get Mark on the show at some point down the road. They're brothers. And look, they are fantastic. Again, I'll say it again. They are, even though I completely disagree with what they did here and taking me down here, they are the best wrestling podcast on the planet. They are. And check them out on any podcast catcher. Check them out on YouTube, you name it. But yeah. Yeah, I had to respond to that because I had to make sure that I wasn't, I didn't want to be misquoted. Joel Embiid is a top 10 player. Yes, he is. Okay, in fact, he's number 6. Okay, and my Heat fandom, I'm a diehard fan. There's a name of people who are hardcore about this team, even before Pat Riley even got here, than me. But I am also a realist, and I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. Okay, and Rihanna's halftime show was really good. Not sure it's top 10. Not sure. Maybe next year when I do my rankings, maybe she cracks it. Maybe she doesn't. But I did enjoy her halftime show. So there it is. Love you guys though. Anyway. Last thing before we get out of here. Announcement. I me, love podcasts, love podcasting projects. I've done many different podcasts outside this one for many years. I am embarking on a new project, or a new podcast project, what do you call it? You guys know, first off, I had another podcast last year that I launched that I did 2 episodes, but then it cooled. I didn't really stay with it because of schedules and all that stuff. I had started a retro podcast on wrestling, for wrestling, talking about wrestling, old school wrestling, and just having discussions around that. And that's gonna be relaunch. Well, it's gonna relaunch. I'm gonna start doing episodes this summer, once his finals are over. But here's the big announcement here. Sometime in the next couple weeks, I will be launching a new basketball podcast, called just like the wrestling podcast, called the Wrestling Retrospective. Which focuses on old school wrestling discussion. I am really genuinely excited about this because this is something that I've been, to be honest with you, for a couple of years I've been trying to do. I just couldn't find the right time to do it, this idea actually came from an idea I had years ago where I wanted to write a book about basketball. I wanted to write a book about my thoughts on basketball, my thoughts on different subjects of basketball. You guys know I love football and obviously I love pro wrestling and stuff, but I'm extremely passionate about basketball. It's my favorite sport of all time. I love NBA basketball especially too. And for many years, and of course I've always dabbled in old school talk on this show for many years, but I always wanted to have a space, whether it was a book, whether it was something else, an audiobook, maybe, where I have a space to discuss old school basketball from a nuanced perspective. And the thing was, even though the book idea was still something I was recently thought about doing, the podcast is even better because it actually opens up more ideas to not just have me discussing these things, but have guests. So you're going to have different guests, different personalities, different media members, different friends of the show come in and certain episodes, and we'll discuss these specific topics. Top 10 centers all time, top 10 teams of this decade. We'll have what if segments. We'll have what if this thing. What if Michael Jordan retired in 93? We'll have top 10s. We'll have team profiles, player profiles. Guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've already mapped. I started mapping. Well, I did this for a long time, but I recently, in getting closer to wanting to do this, I actually mapped out. I'm not even lying to you guys. I have about 62 episodes already planned for this show. Like, I really laid out different ideas for episodes because one topic itself is an episode itself. So it can go 20, 30 minutes, it can go longer, whatever it may be. But I have at least 62 episodes planned already and counting because I have more in my head I'm working on in my head. Like I said, we're going to have different guests come in through the show. This won't be a scheduled show either. This show will be according to how I want to do it. I'm actually recording my first episode for the show tonight. And but what I'm going to do is I'm not going to release it yet. I'm going to the plan is to actually record a few episodes, maybe 2 or 3 episodes first, and then release them week to week after that. So I can, have someone that can. Because again, the challenge of doing these kind of shows is that you still have more people's schedules and my schedule, and then not only that, this show is still the biggest priority of all. So I still have stuff planned around. I have to plan around this show as well too. So so I'm gonna lock in a couple episodes in the can first, and then once we do that, I'll release the shows. So I'm hoping the earliest I can get the show out, honestly, is next week. The podcast out next week. My wife already did the design for the podcast cover for the show. The design came out tremendous. Thank you, Lauren, for a great job with that. We're doing redraft shows too. Actually, the first recording, I'll get a little peek behind the curtain. The first episode we're doing tonight is going to be the 2007 redraft. And we have a bunch of episodes focused on redrafts from 1996 through 2017, I believe we're doing throughout the time we do the show. So I am firmly excited about this project. And again, to be able to talk NBA basketball from an old school perspective from people, and I'm stuttering. I'm really excited. That's how much excited I am. I'm actually stuttering and stuff. But with people who I respect, admire, writers, media members, podcasters, people, friends of mine that we talk basketball with all the time. Hell, I might get my dad on a couple episodes. My dad, who's a basketball nut himself. Family members of mine. Who knows? I'm really excited about this. So you have that, and then same idea with the wrestling stuff. Like I said, I did 2 episodes on this show last year, but I haven't really had a chance to do more recently. But we got stuff planned for that now. Actually, to be honest with you, I may have some stuff dropping in the next week or so on that front on the Wrestling Retrospective podcast. So check it out. It is not on iTunes yet. It will likely be on its own feeds. I was trying to discuss also decide whether or not to have these shows on its own feed or have it on this feed. I decided I'm going to put it on its own feed because again, there's so much stuff come through this feed. I don't want to get lost. So the wrestling retrospective is already on its own feed right now, available now. You can check it out on any podcast catcher. The basketball one will be on its own feed in the next couple of weeks. I'll announce that once we get get out there. Like I said, I want to record a couple of episodes in the can, and then hopefully as early as next week or the week after that, we'll have a few episodes out ready to go. So again, that's the announcement. Is that we're launching the Wrestling Retrospective podcast, and we're going to be launching the new Basketball Retrospective podcast presented by me, of course. So I'm really, really, really excited about that. And that will do it today for this podcast dated June 6, 2023. Again, on Twitter at EJ Christian 7. Again, guys, of course, please subscribe. Check out the YouTube page at youtube.com/at Earnest And we will talk soon. God bless y'all. And we'll go Heat for game 3. Go Heat, bitch. Later.